people that work for you, the musician, will have an idea about 3 or 4 days out where you may end up in your first week sales. And so it kind of takes away the buzz, but you never really know.
Right.
So I'm just kind of curious for the record, where exactly were you two when you got the official word via text, email, phone call of that number 4 placement on Billboard? Like, where were you?
We were in a dressing room, actually.
I was in my bunk.
Oh, you were in your bunk.
It's 3 a.m. David Bennett texted me.
Yeah.
It was 3 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and David Bennett texted me excitedly saying, "Congratulations, you guys are number 4."
Yeah.
And I rolled over and went to sleep with a smile on my face.
That was it?
Yeah.
You didn't get up?
I didn't tell anybody.
Spray paint the bus? Or
It was my secret for like 3 hours, 4 hours until everybody else.
Well, we kind of lost the buzz because a day before the Wednesday, I think it was Tuesday morning, Keith was like, "You guys have already confirmed 60, 61 or 62."
Right.
So we're like, "Wow, that's awesome." And the next day, it's like, yeah, it was just
reaffirmed,
official.
basically.
Right.
It made it official.
Right.
But it's funny, though, because about a week prior, like the day that the CD came out, and we were doing that 3 shows in one day extravaganza, we were all, before the first show, we were all taking bets on what we thought the first week numbers were going to be. And
we threw in $20 each.
Yeah, we all put in $20, and unfortunately, all of our guesses were about 20,000 less than what it actually was.
Really?
Alex said 39.
I said 39.
I said 42.
I think the highest was what, 45 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we were basing it off of Paramore's Riot sales because that did 42, and we're probably around the same,
Yeah.
bit. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
So like we kind of went into it with this mentality that it was going to do maybe 45, if that, and nevertheless,
and we did 30 first day.
None of us did. Yeah, none of us did very well with the guessing.
I should have been in that pool because actually I have a bet thing going on too, but it's for like 10 separate records for the rest of the year. And yours was the first one that came out. That was part of this bet with my friend down in Mexico City. I bet that the first week was going to be 65.
Nice.
Ooh,
not far.
Pretty good.
Not far off.
Price of right rules though. You would have lost.
Price is wrong.
$1, Bob.
Price is wrong, Bob.
Great. We're playing by your family's Monopoly rules. I see how it is. So, Jack, what about you? Where were you?
I found out we were doing a Canadian. It's called Breakfast Television.
Yeah,
it was the Canadian. I guess. What's that?
It's like the Good Morning America.
Good Morning America of like Canada. And I was in the dressing room, and Matt told me, and I was like, I think I was too tired to really react. I was like, oh. It was like 6 a.m. I was like, oh, cool.
We got back on our bus last night, and there's like a bottle of champagne waiting for us and everything, and it never got drank because we're all like still tired as fuck from that from the 3 shows in one day thing.
Yeah, we're still catching up from that.
That kicked our ass.
So, do you remember where you were mid-July 2007?
Warped Tour?
Yes, we were on the Warped Tour.
We would have been on the Warped Tour.
Is that What's So Wrong It's Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our second.
Yeah, we all woke up on the bus to emails. I remember that day pretty vividly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
I woke everyone up. I was like, we did 13, whatever, and I kind of knocked everyone's bunk.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
So does it seem a little weird or, I don't know, I don't want to sound cliche about it, but a little bit unbelievable, or that 2 years later, like how your career really...
It's insane.
It's insane. It's really crazy.
I was just saying to Jack the other day, I was like, our Put Up or Shut Up EP's done like 120,000 total now, and I was like, dude, we just did half of that in a week. Like that took us, like 3 years to sell that many of the EP. It's like, what's happening?
It's very
it's
true.
so weird.
Well, I mean, without trying to like purposely make a thing like go, oh, I want to thank our, like make this like a Grammy speech, but but if you could sit there since 2007 of sitting on a Warped Tour and the bus sweating that thing out to now, can you kind of look back and feel confident that like maybe there was like a couple of key decisions that you guys made? Maybe it was taking a particular tour. Maybe it was the choice of producers. Maybe it was a financial decision you guys decided to make where you think it helped you get to this point. If you were to go back and kind of Monday,
there's a couple of things. I think one of the big things our band looks at is the first tour we did with Cute As We Aim For and Boys Like Girls a long time ago. It was the first official tour we did, and it was the first time we actually got fans, I think.
Yeah, that was. I definitely remember at that time feeling sort of the the change in, from just feeling like a local band that was tagging on shows to actually being a real band and having kids coming out wanting to see us.
It was like the 1 or 2 weeks before Put Up or Shut Up came out, and Cute asked us to tour them, and us and Boys Like Girls switched opening spots with Cute, and Forgive Dirt and open, or with main support. And that was the actual first tour where every night was sold out, like 200 kids, and we actually started signing autographs that tour for the first time.
Yeah,
I remember.
That was actually what I was going to say. That was like the big difference, the autographs. It was the first time we'd all get back to the van and be like, "What?"
Yeah, because we'd been playing shows
Why
to
are
like 10
people following me around?
Yeah, we'd been playing shows to like 10 hardcore kids in a room
who were all booing us.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
So what else do you think, if you guys could sit there and point at particular events or decisions as a band, as a group, maybe as yourselves individually?
Support tours were a big thing for us. Like supporting Boys Like Girls, supporting Fall Out Boy. Those are huge things for us because before we supported Boys Like Girls, we really couldn't headline or do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually that's one of the things that this band did right. I think a lot of bands jumped straight into headlining a little too soon. And one of the things that we always told ourselves as a band was that, we're never too big to support anyone, really, as long as it makes sense. And so we've always made a point to, rather than telling ourselves, we need to have the highest guarantees and the nicest bus and we need to do this, this, and this. It's always been about, what tour can we take next that's going to open the door to a bunch of new fans. And I don't know, that's kind of been the mentality of this band from the onset, I guess.
Also, I feel like the underwear shot was kind of a big deal.
Pivotal moment.
Pivotal moment in the career.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like people started to actually
sells.
People were like, "What? Who the fuck is this band?" Like, because when we took that picture, I Put Up or Shut Up was out, I think, and it was just before So Wrong and Sorry came out, so not that many people knew us. Put Up or Shut Up had probably sold like 20,000, and we took
that. Still haunts us.
We took that picture, and as soon as it released, like, it was the first time Absolute Punk had more than 100 replies to one of our posts. So we were like, "Oh shit."
Haunts us like a friendly ghost, though.
Yeah,
it's like a Casper.
Well, so it's not like one of those things like, oh, I was young and stupid and I did a nude photo shoot.
No.
And,
I think it's one of the smartest things we've ever done.
All-time lows Paris Hilton moment.
Your Rihanna moment, right? So now, especially now, and I probably should ask this in a year from now, really, to make this effective, but I'm still thinking...
Get to the DeLorean.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Doc. But at this point, over the past year, primarily, how have you noticed your lives already changing? And we noticed like on 303 already. Okay, so the #1 song in the nation.
Band's huge.
Yeah,
so they're out on Warped Tour.
Big props to that band.
On Warped Tour, right? They now have the bodyguards. They now have the band, because they're very cool guys, very legitimate. But they are very hyper aware almost to the point where they're trying to make sure that nobody's trying to make money off of them.
Right.
So they're watching everything now. And they're looking out for those sharks. So is that something you guys are going through too now?
Yeah, like eBayers and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like every time we see eBayers at shows, we always kind of stay away.
Oh yeah, the old eBayer. Right, exactly.
That's something that's pretty new to us.
Only black ink. Never silver.
I mean,
I thought it was blue ink.
Silver. Apparently, silver's the one to avoid. They can lift it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
that's what I was told.
It's weird. We used to be able to we used to be able to walk around our shows and like hang out and walk around Warped Tour, but that's not really an option anymore, which is cool.
Really?
Yeah, which is cool.
I mean, it's weird. I don't necessarily. It's
that's the part I don't like.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Like, I was always the kid that liked to regularly visit the merch table and see what was happening and stay on top of the show. And I like watching bands from front of house too. Like, on the Fall Out Boy tour, that was one of the craziest ones because obviously they have a huge following and that was the first time we were playing shows in front of like 10,000 or more kids sometimes. And I remember it was Chicago, and obviously I wanted to watch from front of house. They had brought in extra production. They had pyro for that show. It was ridiculous. And I remember basically having to, like, 2 security guards and Ryan. Ryan had to act as my own security guard with a flannel shirt.
It's kind of an ego blow to him.
Dude, it was, I don't know, man. Well, he can like throw his arms around and everybody just runs away. But I had a flannel shirt over my head, and like we were like running through the crowd to the soundboard, and there was like a line of kids collapsing in on itself, just following me like a conga line. And then once I got to the soundboard, I had to kind of just duck down and wait for kids to forget I was there, because
And never forget.
there was like, I would stand up, there'd be like a group of like, it was kind of like I had my own show within the show. It was like the come see Alex at the sound booth show. It was so embarrassing. And I just wanted to watch Fall Out Boy, and then I was like bright red behind the sound booth, like stop looking. It was awkward. Someone threw a water bottle at me.
Oh, well, then it was punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
it was.
you had your NoFX moment. So
Clearly.
you're still legit.
Clearly.
So, I mean, obviously, you guys are already starting to. What else have you had to curtail in your life? Anything yet? I mean, are you gotten to that point where Pete is, where you got? I mean, I haven't seen it, but are you starting to feel like there's more photographers following you around, or
That was one of the weird ones.
a lot more
Billboard
lurkers
at
now?
LAX.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
no, not Billboard. Sorry, TV Guide channel. When we again back to that 3 shows 1 day thing. We arrived at the airport in LAX, which was the last stop of the tour thing, and that was kind of the most brutal part of the trip, because we had gone from Virginia, flown to Chicago really early in the morning with no time to sleep, played at noon in Chicago, and then immediately had to leave to go to LAX, and we had like 3 hours on the plane to sleep, and we hadn't really slept at all before that. So it's the kind of sleep where you suddenly fall into a really, really deep sleep, because it's your body's like, oh, thank God. But then suddenly Matt's shaking you by the shoulders. Matt's our tour manager, for anyone who doesn't know. And like Matt's shaking me by the shoulders and go, hey, we're here. Like, time to go.
Time to play another show.
Bloodshot eyes, fucking miserable look on my face, going down the escalator. And sure enough, there's a TV Guide channel standing at the bottom of the stairs like, hey, guys, what are you doing? And we were just like, fuck me. And that was one of those moments where I was like, damn it, is this like TMZ shit happening right now? Really?
People were like looking around like, who is this band? Who are these guys?
Who are these jackasses? They look miserable.
Right. As long as they're not saying that you're one of Jackson's doctors, they're fine. All those guys are going down one way or another. How are you guys? You know, one of the things that doesn't really get spoken about, 2 things. One, we were talking about in the car over here. The process, how much do you guys get involved with staying in direct contact with the band's, I guess, customers would be to say. So some radio station person gives you a break and plays you guys for 24 hours or something like that, you know, and your manager gets a hold of you and says, you guys should send them a thank you note. Or
We're super
you
involved
guys,
with that.
how important is that? I mean, because a lot of bands,
It's really
they
important.
don't really understand how, like, well, what's the point of that? That's why my manager does it.
We met this guy Jay in Virginia recently, the first day of this tour, and he's the first guy to play Damned, If I Do You, on the radio. So we made sure we met with him and thanked him, and we did like a meet and greet with some fans for his radio station. So that stuff's super important, because if they don't like you, they're not going to play your music.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the industry's not about being the most legit band. Let's face it. It's about, there's a lot of involvement with connections and you know who you know and who you schmooze with, and it's, you know, for better or for worse, that's just how it is. It's the nature of the industry, and at the end of the day, everybody's in this business because it's one of the more interesting ones, and it's one of the more it's one of the less defined industries as far as relationships go, between bands, workers, labels, you know, endorsement companies, radio stations. It's one of those things where in any other industry, it would be very professional emails being exchanged back and forth and maybe a gift basket sent during a fucking business conference or something like
Right.
that. Whereas here, it's like, you know, you have to go out and get wasted with people and party and hang out and be friends with everyone. And, I mean, it's one of the reasons I love it. I think it's although it gets a little cloudy at times, because when it comes to actually finally hate on someone that you've liked for so long, it's super awkward. It's like, you just fucked me, man. But besides that, it's really cool when you know, you can form these relationships with people like at radio and people at MTV and stuff. For prime example, the people at MTV who have supported us unquestioningly almost. We're such good friends with everyone there now, and that's, I think, but I mean, obviously the band has had more success, but I think it's more the friendship and the fact that we've kept up a good relationship. The same with you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be in the magazine as much if we didn't, know you guys and hang out, I think.
Do you still find that you have to, even though with that relationship building and so forth, that you need to do in order to keep your career moving forward and keep the band getting access to gigs and radio play and video play and stuff like that? Is there a point where you find that you have to stop and take that step back?
Oh, sure.
And keep it professional.
Yeah, where you start disclosing too much, or you start getting too close, or
absolutely. I mean, there's a fine line, and that's why I was saying it was kind of confusing and cloudy. But I
how
think
do you know when you're getting too close? I mean, are there certain things that you guys have done without naming companies and people?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've
kind of like a circumstance like where like we get really close to a lot of the show promoters because that's good. That's good to do. They take care of you. You take care of them. But sometimes like
suddenly you can't play one club because the other promoter's upset.
Right.
But then you're pissing off the other promoter, and before you know it, you're not playing a certain festival because you played the wrong show and shit like that. So
it's so political.
What did I say too much?
Is Matt freaking out? Is there something where there's now a point where you guys just certain things within the band's business operation that you just take a step back and you let the manager kind of be the bad guy or somebody?
Yeah,
I'll be the first to point the finger at Keith. Fuck you, Keith, if you're listening. It's all his fault.
And luckily, we have someone like Keith to be like, okay, you handle this. Like,
oh, speaking of which. We played a show in Jones Beach a couple days ago, which was
in the parking lot, right?
Yeah. We were the first band, the first tour to play that stage, and we about 2 days later received an email from Keith and Ron, our booking agent and manager, telling us that we had 50 parents write in with complaints about our indecency and inappropriate language, and that was one of those prime examples of kind of phasing that out onto Keith and being like, well, have fun with it. But I will stand up and say that I never once said some of those things that they accused me of saying.
Yeah, they said we said twat, and we never said twat on
I would
stage.
never say twat on stage.
I would never say that.
I would only say that in reference to this story because that word's gross.
Yeah.
I don't even like the way that word sounds. Like, I don't like calling people that word. It's gross.
How dare they?
It's interesting. I mean, you can go the no effects route and just purposely, say a bunch of nasty things to some 14-year-old that's sitting in the audience. But how do you guys find that? Do you even care about that line in your show where you feel like you have to start it's kind of like Walmarting your performance.
It is sort of like Walmarting the performance. Then again, this band has never been raunchy, I don't think.
What?
No. And let me
those
explain.
scrims from last year?
All right, fair enough. Raunchy was the wrong word. I'm going to take raunchy back, and I'm going to say this band's never been tacky.
There we go. There we go.
Tacky's the word. We tastefully use the words cunt and mung as much as possible. But
oh god.
But
it was the neon color.
It's the difference between saying on stage that we love boobs or pointing at a 14-year-old girl and going, "Show your boobs." We would never do that.
Exactly.
Never ever do that. That's kind of fucked up. But it's sort of we're the court jester that tiptoes that line between getting his head cut off and being the best jester in the court, So that's my imagery.
We've never pointed to like a fan and be like, "Show us your boobs." That's pretty fucked up.
Well, Jack has.
I have, but
somebody will write in on this.
She'll be like, Jack told me that.
Yeah, and they'll point to like 5 YouTube links.
Damn it.
Right.
Find one example of me pointing at one person and saying, "Show me your vulva."
Oh my god.
Jeez.
You won't. It's internet. It's all right. We can say whatever we want.
It's very true.
Just put an 18 plus.
This is turning into like the Howard Stern show.
Yeah, very quickly.
Let's get some strippers in here.
All right. So why don't we,
Robin?
Let me see how we're doing here.
Looks like I knew this would happen.
Yeah, it's completely.
It's degenerated into this already.
That's quite all right. Sometime I'm going to interview Fat Mike, and I'm just waiting. You guys are the warm up for that.
There you go.
Or Jeffree Star. I'll be the other,
yeah,
dude,
the
other side of it.
You said some crazy shit.
You know what? Let's talk about about that for a second. I got a couple more
Jeffree
minutes
Star.
before the first song break. No, because I was actually talking to Jeffrey's manager last night. We had a really lengthy conversation about him.
Sure.
And how they're trying to kind of legitimize. Oh, that's
Legitimize.
really good. There's a song title. Legitimize him.
Yeah.
And break him out from the rest of that kind of, as I call it, like the self-celebrity MySpace crowd.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because the industry or the older crowd or whatever kind of like lump them into that and say, nope, it's all a joke. It's all just shtick and so forth, so on. But you guys represent a generation that there's nothing the matter with that. You know, there's nothing the matter with making a name for yourself and creating your own world, I guess, in a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, at its core, it's the same thing. It's the same as hustling back in the day. You know what I mean? It's having a MySpace and telling everybody that you're that much better than everyone else, and it actually showing results is the same as going and standing outside rock shows with your CD,
with your iPod,
and playing it for as many kids as you can. It's the exact same thing. It's hustling. And I think, although a lot of people don't get it and don't like it, I think, people who come across fame that way are just as, for the most part, just as legitimate as anyone else. I mean, for whatever reason it is, maybe you're famous for being hated or famous for being a douchebag or whatever it is. But, and I'm not talking about Jeffrey in particular. I'm talking about anyone because Jeffrey's awesome. But, just in general, it's one of those things where it's a new day and age. You can be a celebrity because of a funny video on YouTube. That's just how it works these days.
William Hung.
I think the fact exactly that was a little bit before YouTube, but I mean that was American Idol. He was famous for being a goober, and I just think people find problems with it because they want to find problems with it. But it's at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I think it's the same as, like I said, it's the same as hustling any other time, It's just a different outlet.
Do you guys feel like yourselves are somewhat judged by that kind of same mentality by some of the I guess maybe the daily newspaper reporters or something like that that are like music used to be better when it was actually played or when it was good or when it was on vinyl or something like that.
Shouted from the tops of soapboxes. No, it's I don't know. Yeah, we definitely take a bit of flack for that, but a lot of people, a lot of those, as you said, newspapers and things like that, they don't realize that this band's been grinding for
6 years now,
6.5 years, since we were freshmen in high school. And although it sounds like a joke, we were the kids that did poorly in school because we cared more about the band than we did anything else. And we did the van tours. We slept on people's couches. We
waited outside Fall Out Boy shows to meet them and get our poster signed
while handing out flyers.
For you're selling it on eBay, right?
Yeah,
hell yeah, dude. Silver Sharpie.
Before Pete wised up.
Yeah, exactly. I was the guy.
I do want to talk about high school. So why don't we take the music break and then we'll talk about high school. So let's take the music break. And why don't you guys give me each your song from high school that was your theme song, your individual theme song.
Oh, man. I got a good one. What was the name of the Good Charlotte bonus track that was the theme song to that show?
The Innocent.
The Innocent.
No.
It was
The Click.
The Click.
The Click.
Yes,
it was the theme song to. Fuck, what's that show called? Graduate.
The doesn't matter, but that song by Good Charlotte. God damn it, that was
undergrad.
That's right. But that was my definitely 9th to 10th grade anthem.
Yeah, that was just about clicks and I guess
not giving a fuck.
I have to say "Reckless Abandon" by Blink-182.
Okay.
Because for some reason, Blink always came off as like that.
You never fucked a chick in a parking lot.
I know, but I wanted to, Alex.
You never did.
That's what high school's about. It's always about wanting to do something.
I mean, Blink was like 32 when they wrote that song, but like it was just about like.
I feel like Blink's always been 32.
Yeah, it was just about like not giving a fuck and having fun in high school, and I feel like it sounded so much cooler than high school really was, but
Yes.
was like dazed and confused, but not
But
as
in
cool.
song form.
But in song form.
You're standing out in front of Fall Out Boy trying to get them to autograph stuff when you're in high school. You are doing Blink-182 covers, you're doing rehearsal, things of that sort. Now you've got these guys' personal information in your cell phone.
$10. $10.
$10. And that's just for one part of it.
Highest bidder.
311.
Right. So, when you first got to know these guys and you got to, there's steps that people like that are up higher, like they slowly bring you into the world.
Sure.
And, first it's the email, then it's the BlackBerry that's really only used for spam. And then, then eventually you get the personal number.
I had Gabe's fan line for so fucking long. Gabe, if you're listening, you're an asshole. Like, I still think it was the Fall Out Boy tour that he was like, why are you texting me on this number, dude? And I was like, this is the only number I have. And he was like, this is my fucking fan line. I was like, damn it, Gabe. Damn you. And he was like, I never answered that. Ugh. And I just called him out now. Everyone that has that number is pissed.
So did you guys go through that? Was there that point where you're just like kind of apprehensive about how, like, you don't want to come across like, hey, this is my best bud right now, because it's still somebody that you idolize.
Well, I mean, when we first started talking to Hoppus, he saw a BuzzNet video of Ryan getting a Blink tattoo.
Right.
And then he
started with an email.
Yeah, he posted it. He posted it on the HiMyNameIsMark.com, and we all flipped shit. Like that was the first time we knew that Mark Hoppus knew who we were. So like we were running around the bus. This was the Boys Like Girls tour. We were running around the bus.
Giving too much
screaming.
away, Jack. We weren't. We were calm and composed.
Right.
In a boardroom.
and then Ryan emailed him that night, and he emailed us back the next morning. And that's when we were like, okay, we're starting at the step one. And then that led to Alex hitting up, or Keith hitting up their manager saying we want to write a song with Mark, which led to me and Alex going in the studio with Mark and Alex writing a song with him.
But let's go back. You jumped. When did you first talk to him on the phone? Like, did he call you? Did you call him?
He called me and left a message on my phone.
We all crowded around.
You still have that voicemail?
Oh, dude, I wish. I would hold it over his head now. But
and I'll work for $10, guys.
But no, I remember we were actually on stage when he called, and he left me a message, and when we got off stage, I was like, no way, because I had his number saved in my phone because Keith had forwarded it to me and was like, he should be calling, and it was just, that was one of those moments where I realized that my life was getting a little bit weirder, a little bit more fairy tale, and so we talked, and I called him back. We talked about doing the writing session, and a few more times, just before we got in the studio, and then. The step that Jack jumped to was us actually getting in a room together for a couple of days, which was, the first day was just a bunch of awkward silence. And then we both realized that we liked the same kind of weird jokes, and pretty much just loved making fun of Chris Holmes, who was the engineer at the time.
Mainly because our jokes derived from listening to Blink-182 records. So
yeah, it all fit. It all meshed.
Do you remember those first two? I mean, because I've read the stories, like, then we went into, but really, let's get back into the details about that. But like those first 2 days of awkward silence, so to speak.
Yeah.
Were there times that you guys went home after that, or back to the hotel, or out to dinner, or to drinks afterwards, and you guys are by yourselves without him around, and deep inside yourself you're going, fuck, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I sound like an idiot.
Dude, that there was that video that we posted of when we were working in the studio, and I said astrology instead of astronomy, and he called me out on it on camera, and we posted it because it was hilarious. But that same day I left, and I was like, I'm such a dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, I just fucked that up in front of my hero, and I'm such a goober. And that was one of those moments, and it was caught on film.
The last thing you want to do is feel like an idiot in front of like someone who you idolize.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you want this person to like take you seriously and take your band seriously, and there you are acting like a fucking idiot.
Just out of curiosity, now that you've worked with him and you've hung out with those guys, and did you find out that you were actually playing their songs wrong at all when you were back there? Like,
no, we actually found out that we played it better than they did.
Yeah. You hear that, Mark?
But no, the best thing about the turn of events now, as it stands, and now that we know those guys a little better, and maintain a relationship with those dudes, is a little further down the line. I found out that Mark's niece, I guess, is a bigger fan of our band than she is of Blink. So that was my number one accomplishment.
We hold
I was
that above his head a
I
lot.
win, motherfucker. Checkmate. Your days are done. That's why that caused the reunion. He was like, oh no, we got to get back together.
I see.
I got to show these kids up.
I see.
No, just kidding.
It's all a matter who's been served.
Exactly.
Something.
This is all just a sick competition to see who's better.
Yeah, we'll wait till for Grammys. Like the Grammys. We'll see if they get a Grammy. What about? So now that you've been around your idols and you've got to know them and you've been brought into the world, now they've started to share their secrets. And they've started not like
They're all aliens.
Yeah, not like personal stuff, but like their business secrets.
Right.
Sure.
Like stay away from them. If you talk to Pete anywhere at length, about 20 minutes into the conversation, he starts telling you stuff like, "Oh, don't work with them, man."
Right.
You know how he is. So, like what sort of like generic, without naming companies and things like that, but what sort of things have you learned from these people about the industry that maybe you did not know? Or maybe that
question.
you were naive about, or that you glass was too half full about, or maybe that you feel more optimistic about.
One
Maybe
thing
that.
Pete always kind of told us was to keep a really good relationship with radio people, because that's how they're going to play you.
Pete knows about that.
Yeah, he knows a lot about like radio stuff.
They did all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything too crazy. I mean, it's really I've never really sat down and had like that deep like, here, my son. Like, here are the ways.
But you learn little things as you go along.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
I
always
know,
swap out your merch every so often, or don't do this or do that.
For sure. I mean, I don't know. It's a little weird. I guess I spent too much of my time hanging with those guys intoxicated to really find much out. I don't know.
You guys, the current record, Nothing Personal, is on Hopeless still.
Yeah.
And so now you are the big fish in the small pond, and you get to call the shots, and you have a lot of sway there. But the next record after this, you're now going upstream over to Interscope.
C.
Correct.
If there was especially today, there's a lot of talk about the major label system is in flux.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Some people will say it's transferring, it's molding. Other people will say it's collapsing. It all depends on what the rumor is for the day.
Exactly.
So if there's a reason, though, for a band to go into a label like that, a large label, this is whether it's Interscope or Warner or Island or whoever, give me the reasons that for you guys said, in order for us to do this, we have to go to this route.
Well, man, I mean, I think one of the big ones was radio.
Yeah.
And radio and international are two of the hugest things when it comes to the difference between an independent label and a major label. And that's, I mean, the main reason for that is leverage and also a much bigger staff and an international
relationships
staff. And just
Right.
years and years of experience. And with our new deal with Interscope, it was one of those things where we spent maybe 2 years. I mean, nobody really knows this, and we did a really good job. A lot of people can guess, but nobody actually knows. But we spent the better half of 2 years basically talking to every major label. And trust me, we talked to everyone at one point or another. And, 6 months in, it looked like we were going to be here. And then 2 months later, that completely went to shit for whatever reason. And that's just kind of the nature of the game. And one of the big things that we were striving for out of it all was that we've come up with a label who was where they were when they signed us, took a chance on us, and we've both grown substantially together. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, when we were doing this whole deal and going into the idea and exploring the idea of, okay, should we bring in a larger party to, help with these aspects and open these doors that we haven't opened yet? One of the key factors that played into that was keeping, the family that we had in the picture while, bringing in a new party to open these new doors for us. And it took a lot of time to get it right for all three parties involved. because one of the biggest things we were against was any one of those parties getting screwed in any way. Because it wouldn't be right for us to hurt Hopeless. It wouldn't be right for Hopeless to hurt us, and it would absolutely not make sense to sign a deal with a major label that was a bad deal. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's one of the biggest things these days, especially with what you said about the way the industry is going, and the fact that a lot of those major labels are on the fences, and they're all scrambling to kind of find a new way, because a lot of the dudes that run these labels are have been in the game for years now, and they all have this mentality that's 10 years too old, and a lot of them are struggling to catch up with the times and find innovative ways to save themselves, basically. And when it came down to it, Interscope, Luke Wood, and Jimmy at Interscope are some of the smartest dudes when it came to that, and they just had such fresh ideas. And Luke and Jimmy are very talented, and they're really on top of it. And I think one of the reasons that it made sense to partner up was that we felt like they could offer us the right things, and I think they saw in us the same kind of mentality that helped us grow with Hopeless, is because we've taken a lot of initiative, and a lot of the time a lot of great ideas come from our side of the table. And at the same time, I think everyone at Hopeless, Ian, Lewis, everyone that's worked at Hopeless on this with us has had some insane ideas that have taken this band, to the next level numerous times, whatever that level was. And I think it's that culmination that kind of ended up sealing the deal and making it make sense. Because it's definitely scary. You know what I mean? Like we went from, like you said, being the big fish in a small pond to suddenly, they put us in a new pond, and we have no idea what the fuck swims in that pond.
Yeah.
So it's like it was kind of the best bet for us, and I feel happy that we're part of a family that is kind of cohesive now, and everybody knows where we should be going, which is awesome.
Well said.
I'm done.
Well
And
said.
scene.
Back to fart jokes.
That got super serious.
Dick,
balls.
there we are.
We're back.
We're back.
I feel better. I blacked out for a second.
Well, now I'm going to ruin it again. But this is a little bit more fun. So, every single day you can sign up for Twitter following particular, experts and bloggers and things and tech people, and they're all about the new things that are coming. And there's been now some movement where Comcast on the East Coast is now setting it up so that when you subscribe to Comcast cable, you'll be able to have and watch live TV on your phone.
Whoa.
Welcome to Japan.
Well, yes. So, and good point. Very good point. So,
Come on, America, catch up.
Exactly. So, what sort of things, as you guys, from what you've read, from what you're hearing from people that even maybe things that are happening now, maybe it's, the new generation of Pandora or something like that, but what sort of things about technology gets you excited as a musician for your career? Like, holy crap, if this really starts taking off, we're going to be able to do...
Well, Twitter is huge for us because we're one of those bands that talks to our fans every day in some way or form, and the fact that we can just
You do it yourself. There's no ghost person.
no, of
Hell
course,
no.
of course, hell no, and then, hell no, and of course, like the fact that we can just say something and all our fans who are following us can just read it, and like we'll be out the sign in 10 minutes. Or it's very cool to just be that connected to your fans. It's very cool.
I think, technology is sort of the defining factor for bands these days, and I think it's one of the things that's going to make or break a lot of bands, and it's the bands that are going to embrace the coming trends that are going to succeed, but it's the ones that get too attached that are going to get fucked up in the end. It's one of those things where...
How do you mean? Wait a minute. How do you
Well,
mean?
let me go on to explain that.
Shut up.
No, it's cool.
That's okay.
Please, man,
No,
just
you
give
told
me
me
a
to shut up.
chance. The bands that embrace the technology are the ones that are going to succeed, and what I mean by that is the ones that move with the times, but move fluidly and don't get too wrapped up in any one thing, are the bands that are truly going to succeed. If you believe that MySpace is the future of bands, or Stickam is the future of bands, or Twitter is the future of whatever, you're totally screwed, because they're all trends. They're going trends, and it's like, YouTube. It's a reason. There's
MySpace
a reason
is already
why,
dying with the
exactly.
music.
There's a reason why people look at our Twitters now more than they look at our MySpace page. It's whatever's more instant, whatever's cooler, whatever's faster, flashier. And eventually we're all just going to have microchips in our brains, and it won't matter because I'll just be able to call, the 65,000 kids that follow me on Twitter or whatever it is, and they'll get like a little screen in their head, and I'm just like, hey, it's me naked in the shower, touching myself.
And then you'll get arrested.
And then I go to prison. And that's what I meant when I said that's the downfall of bands.
It all comes around with you, doesn't it?
It really does.
Really
I tie it all together in an immature way.
You were really leaving breadcrumbs for me. And
you follow?
Yes, try. where? I mean, you guys. I mean, Jack, Alex, you got the label, and Jack, you're so heavily involved with everything that the band is doing. What if you guys had to make if you could play? I guess like you have on the shows on cable networks, the political pundits, and they always start off with, "Well, I think what's going to happen." So if you had your moment right now to say what I think is going to happen in technology, the trends, like you were saying, like MySpace,
right.
What do you think is going to happen?
Just fuck.
Like just curiosity. I mean, seriously. I mean, there is a lot of talk that MySpace is. You're going to start seeing a trend away from bands having all their website stuff just on MySpace. Now we're going to go back to bands having websites again.
Yeah. For sure. Man.
Huh.
I have trouble predicting what's going to happen. Mostly because I have trouble looking a week in advance of my own life. It's sort of what I meant when I said that the bands that survive are the ones that move fluidly with everything. I think, in my opinion, one of the smarter things to do isn't to, try and be. I don't like to try and set the trend. I'm not a Pete Wentz. I can't think that far ahead. I'll leave that up to him, but I'll be the first goddamn person after he does it
to steal his idea,
to be doing it. No, that sounded so shitty. What I mean is that there's a way to move through all of these, ingoing and outgoing trends, and there's a way to do it in a healthy way that doesn't compromise who you are or who you represent. And I think that's more important than being the innovator.
Something I think that is huge is bands going out after shows. You can't be a band really anymore and draw kids to shows if you're not going to go out and sign after. Kids just aren't going to come out and see a band that they're not going to meet.
It's true. I always say that the whole the idea of the rock star, the iconic figure that you can't ever touch, it's dead.
It's safe to say that the only reason why we draw as many kids as we do live isn't because of radio, because we've never had radio, is because we actually meet almost everyone we play to. Yeah, I mean, it's become more of a, with this band especially, I think it's become one of those things where the kids aren't just going for the music. They don't even like our music.
Clearly they buy the record and can listen to it as much as they want, or they have the record somehow, I guess. But I think the reason why we continue to draw like we do, and we continue to have such fun shows, and the reason why kids stand behind this band, I think, is because it's more than just coming to watch the music. It's you're coming to walk away with a T-shirt that means something. You're coming to see a bunch of bands that we support openly. You're coming to probably meet us after the show, or if you got a meet and greet, have one-on-one time or anything like that. And it's just our meet and greets are never behind a table, unless it's at Hot Topic, because those stores are small. But yeah, it's just one of those things. We always try to keep it as real as possible. We don't deny the fact that we're normal people. And once you get to that point where it's like, oh, geez, there's 150 kids in this meet and greet, we need a table. Although I've said it, I take it back as soon as I see the crowd of kids. Because generally I think everyone walks away from an experience like that feeling like they truly got something out of it. And, when they listen to the CD again, it means more to them.
Is there anything that a fan does that disrespects you?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you say that, especially
because every now and then somebody will jump in a mosh pit, right? Or they'll jump into the crowd, they do the crowd surf, the lead singer will go in or something, and they'll come back out, and then the first words when they got over, they grab my,
that's a daily occurrence for Jack.
Seriously, I go in the crowd almost every day, and I really, 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 really despise it when people try to steal my shoes. Like that's like the kind of thing where like they're probably like, oh, he can just go buy a new pair. Like, yeah, but those are my shoes. Like,
Yeah,
how would you feel if like I went and tried to steal your shoe? You know what I mean?
At signings, I've had people try. I wear beanies constantly. I've had people try to rip them off my head. And in Australia, some girl tried to take my phone out of my back pocket, and I was just like, "Come on,
Yeah,
that's like
It's ballsy.
it's crossing the line, people. It's like we're here because we want to meet you and we like you and we want to try and like be friends, but." Damn, don't steal from me.
That's illegal.
Like, that shit's whack, dude. Oh, that is whack. I don't know. It's just
I don't care if they grab my dick, but just leave my shoes alone.
let me keep my possessions. I don't know. And like, I guess that's one of the things that definitely bums me out. Another is when people, and it goes back to, using the internet and stuff like that. Sort of, there's a fine line between being interested in a band and then stalking. Stop calling my parents' house, please.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mom and
Really?
dad. Yeah, it's a problem.
He doesn't even live there anymore.
I don't live at that house, so you're not gonna find me.
What else do they do that causes? I mean, what else are they doing that you find that is stalking? I mean, are you they following you into the bathroom? Are
no,
they-
No.
It's never been anything creepy or dangerous. Just things like hitting up our friends, which is just a little. It feels a little invasive. Things like that, and people showing up at my parents' house and then having to hear about it the next day. Like, yeah, these like 3 girls showed up with their dad, and I'm like, who the fuck's the dad to be like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take you to this random stranger's house to get an autograph? Enabler, you're an enabler, sir, and that's wrong. Your
All right, we're
daughter's
gonna take
gonna
the
be
second
crazy.
song break. Well, a couple more questions to wrap this up. Let's off the new record. I asked this question
She's
a
a
lot
rascal.
because it's really I find it's from a fan you start to take a look at how a song gets procedurally put together and how it morphs. So is there any of the songs, because you had numerous producers on this record? Is there any of the songs that went in one version and by the time you guys got done with it, it was something completely different?
I would love to play you the original version of Dear Maria, Count Me In. I wish I had.
So
that.
not even off this record, but the
No,
original
oh,
version of
no, I mean,
Sick, Sick Little Games was like a techno song almost.
Well,
It was like
that
a-
was just sort of, yeah, that kind of plays into the fact that the way this new record was written was kind of different. We didn't write the record as a full band in a room. A lot of it was me demoing and playing stuff for them. And
Alex would write like a chorus on GarageBand and just have that chorus.
yeah, and then once we got in with the producer, we'd finish it. And Sick Little Games, yeah, it started out as some weird fucking
Like
little
Mario
Imogen
like,
Heap
keyboard.
/ Mario keyboard techno ballad.
And
and
then
it was
Butch,
strange. And then
Alex showed it to Butch, and he was like, "Wow, this is really cool. We can make this an actual song, not a fucking
Not a Mario
You-
techno ballad. Yeah, no, it's funny. I would actually one day I would love to release a couple songs.
What was the original version of Dear Maria like?
Man, the chorus was completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember any of it?
Yeah, it was something like it was I got your picture, I'm coming with you, Dear Maria, count me in. There's a story at the bottom of this bottle, and I'm the pen. You spin the verse, I've got you covered on the hook. Just take a look at all the lights in this town, they'll drown you out. Or something like the lyrics were completely different. And it only came to mind because Ryan was playing it. He's like the only one that still has all that stuff. And he was playing like the demo versions of songs, and it's just funny to see how they transform. And funny how little I realized about songwriting back then. It's just like, man, this chorus just isn't catchy. Like I forgot it already. Damn it.
All right, and so then the second song, like you guys suggest, is the song that you love a lot, but for whatever reason you can't play live.
Vegas
Yeah.
from So Wrong It's Right.
Let's do the Nothing Personal one.
Oh, nothing personal. Well, we wouldn't really know yet because we haven't tried half
Yeah.
the songs.
Yeah, it could be. This one
What's
could be
the
off
song-
any record
What's
too.
the song
so-
that we
yeah.
could not play live from Nothing Personal?
I think Hello Brooklyn for me.
Yeah,
I really like that song, but it gets a lot of hate.
it's
Really?
not. It's not even that. I would play it, but I just don't know if it would translate well.
Yeah.
But the biggest one that I've always said, and it's so weird, but kids love this song, and I always get asked why we don't play it live, but we just refuse to play it live, and it's Vegas.
Yeah.
Like we have never played it live. We've tried it and hated playing it.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why. It's just one of those songs that doesn't translate well live. Like we recorded it, loved the song, and then we were like, maybe we should throw this in a set. And we played it and we were like, this is just weak.
Yeah.
We were like, we should just play Shameless or something. I don't know. There's just some songs just don't come across well live. So you're never going to hear it. Never.
You taunt.
I do.
Really? Seriously? What were you guys both like in high school?
Which grade?
Yeah.
Just give me, I mean, you started the band in
school was very
2003-ish to 02, 03-ish in there. So what were you like then?
Let's begin. High school, I have to say, 8th grade.
You came from a private school.
I did, but that was middle. I left 7th grade from St. Paul's, transferred to the school that Jack was at, Ridgely, middle. Spent my 8th grade in a public school, which is kind of an insane time now that I look back to change from a private school to a public school, because that's the age, I guess, and it's scary to think, but that is the age when kids are starting to learn about everything wrong in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
so I came from this, like Christian middle school that was pretty conservative, well, very conservative, and it wasn't like I was blind to the world, but when I got to public school and kids were like, so who you gonna hang out with, the preps or the skaters? And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like all I know are
the
kids
Bloods
that,
of the Crips.
yeah, all I
right.
know are kids that wear khakis and ties. Like that's all I'm.
Alex used to think I was a badass because I used to wear those Hot Topic shirts that had like a kid like lighting his fart on fire.
He had a
or,
shirt
like,
that said "Tell your girlfriend." I
So
said,
Alex,
thanks.
in
I
a
was
way,
like,
you were Butters.
I was
He was
Butters.
Butters.
I was totally Butters.
and
when
I was
first-
fucking Cartman.
Yeah, dude. Jack was the scumbag.
The skinny version of Cartman.
Oh man. Yeah, dude. It was a scary time, but it also gave me a chance to kind of start again, which I at the time needed.
We were Hot Topic kids.
Really?
Not
Yeah.
at first.
Not at
Is that
first.
where you really hung out?
Yeah. Me
Jack-
and Alex used to stay at Hot Topic for like 5 hours. Just sit there.
Yeah, when I
Which hot
started,
topic? Which one?
The one in Towson, another hometown.
Okay.
it took me
Is
a
there a
minute.
mall, a particular mall?
Yeah,
Or is
yeah.
it
Towson
Towson Town
Mall.
Center.
Towson Town?
In,
Is it still there? They kept it up?
yeah,
So
we just had a signing last
Oh,
week.
so you go back there again? All right.
Yeah, that was
You guys
kinda-
never worked there?
No.
Okay.
We weren't old enough.
Where did you guys work? Like, what were your first jobs?
I worked at Rita's Italian Ice with Ryan, and he just kept getting promoted, and I kept staying at the bottom.
Jack just continued to mop the floor.
And then I left Rita's Italian Ice to work at TCBY with Zach.
You really like
Sellout.
ice cream and
I'm
stuff.
an ice cream kind of guy.
this band has 3/4 of this band have an ice cream frozen yogurt background.
Really?
Yeah.
What else?
Zach
Just
was it?
we-
Well, Ryan, right?
Ryan worked at Rita's, Zach worked at TCBY, I worked at both.
Jack was a flip flopper, and then I worked at a speaker company.
Yeah.
Now my dad worked for this company called Polk Audio, which was like a home entertainment car audio thing. So I got a paid internship because of my connections. I stayed there for about 2 months and then was like, this is fucking miserable, and I quit. And
That's the only job.
that's the only job I've ever had. I think if I wasn't doing this, I would be either dead
Or homeless. Or
or
both.
homeless.
Or the East Coast regional manager for
Or for Hot Topic.
Hot Topic.
Yeah,
I was gonna say for audio, car audio.
Right.
See, I don't know if I could do it. It's just nothing interested me.
I used to be an
except this.
umpire too.
Really?
Yeah.
Like for like the city or something like that.
For like the rec, not the rec center, like for
Youth.
like the youth,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
Little League.
Little League.
That's
So
awesome.
bad.
So
I
do you,
didn't
so
know
so
that.
when you watch baseball now still?
Yeah,
And
a little
you-
bit, a little
You
bit.
kind of sit there and go, that guy's full of crap. And
Jack's like, strike!
No, I mean I was in like 8th grade.
Coach is
Oh,
like,
so
he
you
didn't
weren't that
throw the
much
ball
my
yet.
first paycheck was $10. I remember that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Serious money.
serious fucking money.
Serious money.
But in high school, like we were the beginning years of high school, we weren't that cool.
No, we weren't at all. That's what I was saying. They were formative years. And I think me and Jack, between 9th and 11th grade, turned from that awkward Hot Topic kid that like wore Jinko jeans and a sideways baseball hat and like a huge chain around your neck.
Yeah.
And
have you paid people off not to release those photographs?
There's a couple of them have been released.
There's
Me
actually a
with blue
picture
hair.
of Jack with blue hair and like big like parachute shorts with straps on him, standing in his front yard.
Damn it.
Which is an awesome picture. But it kind of went from that for me to suddenly really liking Bob Marley and just wearing hemp necklaces and Bob Marley shirts to wearing tight jeans and black t-shirts, and it happened in about 8 months.
Yeah.
No, year and a half.
Wow, you went
I'll give it a
seasonal.
year.
That was like the Fall Out Boy early November drive-through era when we
Got
started
it.
to get like all emo pop punky.
We figured out what this weird ass scene was.
And it was
got
about
into
was it about that same time when you guys started morphing? Was about when you started doing band rehearsal and things
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
same time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
but-
wasn't when you were doing, because I've read some things like Alex, you were still in this kind of this hemp phase while the band started.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. All right,
okay.
Like that's when the band started, and I was always like, "Do we have to play Blink-182? They're such sellouts."
Yeah. Alex hated Blink-182 when we started this
did.
band.
Right, I've read that.
I did.
Yeah, and I got him to listen to the Mark, Tom, and Trevor show, their live record,
Yeah.
and he heard it, and he's like, these guys are fucking hilarious. Like, we have to do this. Like, we have to...
No, you also and you showed me. We watched riding in cars with boys.
Riding in vans with boys.
Yeah, that's what it was. Not the fucking Drew Barrymore movie or whatever. the tour DVD. What was the band?
Cut You
Up. Cut You Up did like this documentary of them touring with Blink, but Blink was in it a lot.
Yeah, and we saw it, and we were like, wow, like, this is great.
So that was the pivotal moment.
So when did you know you guys were actually now the cool ones in school? Was there a moment like
Dude,
Senior,
we got-
senior year.
we
maybe?
got
like you guys
signed.
stopped getting beat up or something, or
We were never that lame.
we were always kind of just like the kids that
We hung out with the
didn't-
cool kids.
Like we hung out with anybody, but we were never the cool kids, and we were never the kids that got beat up. We were just sort of some weird little interdimensional creature that would sort of like exist, but wasn't really.
we still
there.
did hang out with the jocks per se. Like, we actually did hang out with them a lot and stuff.
Yeah, by senior year was awesome for me. Like that's kind of when I
cool.
came out of my shell and was just like, hey, I can hang out with everybody. And that was the time that we got signed, and I think
did you guys get signed before you graduated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
February, Valentine's Day of our senior year.
Okay, so how did that news go through the high school? Like,
No
how
one,
did- like
no
your
one
fri-
gave a shit.
No one gave it really.
nobody in our school really knew what it meant. Nobody got it because until like people just now are realizing that we've
Right.
actually done something with our lives. Like now is when I'm getting the text messages
that they were
are
sat
like,
they were sat in biology with you.
oh
Right,
damn,
exactly.
bro! I saw you on MTV the other day.
Saw you on Comcast on demand.
That's
Can I get like
crazy.
5 guest list tickets now?
Yeah, like you want to hang out? I'm like, fuck, man. But no, like when we first got signed, I was still going and sitting in class and being like, hey, guess what? Just got a record deal, and they're just
Kids are like, fuck you, I'm trying to go to college.
They're like, no, you didn't. We're just like, damn it. Like, all right, fair enough. And I would just leave, put my head down, fall asleep.
Me and Alex used to skip a lot of class, actually, in senior year.
We did.
Well, actually, we had school set up so that after 11, 15...
How do we get away with this?
Yeah, I know. It's really crazy.
Awesome.
There's something at our school called work study where after you go for the first 4 periods, then you go work. And we somehow convinced our guidance counselors that our
The
band was work.
the job.
So the second half of our senior year, the second half of the day, we were just going and having band practice.
We spent leaving school, going to Chick-fil-A,
Yes. Every day.
going home, playing video games for about 2 hours, and then going to band practice.
And going to band
At
practice.
the time that school would let out, roughly.
And your parents were totally cool.
Well, yeah, because that was when that started happening. That was when we were also talking to labels, and because the work study program was what it was, and I guess the lady that ran it was awesome, and she was like, "No, they're still going to pass. This still counts as a college or as a credit towards, everyone's diplomas and everything." So like, even though our parents were having doubts about whether we should be doing the band or going or applying to college and whatnot, it wasn't really negatively affecting anything. Even though it seemed like all we were doing was just going home,
and we still applied to college. Like me, Alex, or me, Ryan, and Zach did.
yeah, I didn't. But
You're always the oddball. You're the guy that's left out.
tell me about it. But no, they were all accepted to colleges.
So 2 more questions. We're done. One is you're talking about, Alex, about your parents. They didn't really accept the idea. I mean, that's how it always is with musicians.
Sure.
They start a band in it. But
My parents were probably the most supportive.
Yeah.
when did you know
Enablers.
that either one of your parents, that moment where either was a look in the eye or it was a gesture they did or something that they said in an email or phone call where you felt for once they approved?
I was walking home from school and I saw my parents on top of a mountain, and the sun was behind them, so they were silhouetted. And my dad's head was turned slightly to the side, but I could tell he was acknowledging me, and he just nodded silently. And that was the moment I knew.
I don't think my dad finally accepted it until
I
I got-
appreciate your honesty and opening up about
Yeah.
that, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think my dad accepted it until I got my first paycheck from the band because his big thing was me being able
Which
to
was $3.
yeah, which was being able to financially support myself in the future. That was his his worry. And as soon as like we got our first paycheck, which was probably really small.
Jack's the baby.
I am the baby in the family. And so my dad was kind of like, okay, like maybe we can turn this into something. You know what I mean?
Invest in glorious mutual funds.
Seriously, Alex, when was it?
For me, I think when it was actually. Well, I was sort of the kid in senior year that was just like, I told my parents, I was like, clearly I have not done very well in high school for the past 2 years. I don't really give a damn about this place. The fact of the matter is I kind of want to take my chances. And when results, I guess, started showing up and you know, we had a contract from Hopeless and you know, pretty much just before signing it, my parents were like, fine, do it. Like, this is, you know, it's, they were the first to acknowledge that it's an opportunity that doesn't come up very often for very many bands. And they were just like, you know what, you're young, you can always go back to college. If anything, touring for a couple of years will probably overshadow that your GPA was a 1.4 and you might get in somewhere. And if not, there's always community college. Woo!
Right. Right, and if that doesn't work, you're going over to the yogurt shop.
Yeah, going to TCBY, baby.
With me.
So, last question. Here we are.
Yeah.
And this isn't meant to be like a sellout question, but there is a point in a band's career, if they're successful, they start becoming successful, where they get the bigger paychecks coming in finally, and maybe it's a guarantee of a series of shows in a row, or a tour, or it's a sponsorship deal, or something like that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're sitting there, your bank's been overdrawn all this time, you're living on nothing, and then all of a sudden you've got a splurge of money, and you want to go buy
everything.
The one thing that you like, your guilty pleasure, like I've always wanted this. So can you guys, each of you, like describe what that one thing was that you went, the first thing you bought? It's like,
Well, Ryan bought a car.
Yeah, we luckily our parents are very intelligent and bestowed a good sense of, you know, not to be frivolous in all of us. And we actually were pretty reserved about spending any money until it actually made sense to do so. So
just to show what kind of person I am, the first thing I bought was mutual funds.
Yeah, exactly. Like all of us, you know, the first couple things we did, like, were set up retirement plans and just crazy things that, you know, 20-year-olds aren't supposed to do. But when there finally was enough money, you know, around to do things, like me and Jack just recently bought houses, and that was kind of the first really important thing that we you know, felt like we should do, because that's one of those things that can't really bite you in the ass. And if all of this, you know, ends tomorrow, I have something I can sell, I guess, and or at least a place to live. And I think the big splurge for me was Ryan and I bought cars, dream cars, which was
what'd you buy?
I have a Range Rover, and I'm very proud of it. And I got a scuff on the leather seat.
I still do not own a car, but I will one day.
Yeah, you have a free one.
That's true. I drive my mom's Honda.
But you can give out the best mutual fund advice to everybody.
That's true.
Exactly.
And my best friend is going to be a financial advisor. So
you know, there's a side business here.
Right.
I see a spinoff.
When you join Warped Tour, set up a little stand in front of the bus.
Financial advice from Jack Barakat.
It'll look like peanuts.
The dude from Atari's was giving guitar lessons. You're giving financial advice. This could be a new thing for everyone.
There's always a possibility, guys. I wish you the best of luck with everything with this. I think it's a year from now, you're not even going to talk to me.
You're damn right.
Right. Exactly. Just you know, seriously, take care of yourselves and best of luck with everything.
Thanks for having us, dude.
Thank you.
AP podcasts are recorded at Lava Room Recording Studio in Cleveland, Ohio, a New York City quality studio at Cleveland prices. Check out www.lavaroomrecording.com. For more information on Alternative Press Magazine, go to www.altpress.com. The podcast engineer is John Walsh. Post-production assistance from Rob Hortensi. I'm Mike Shea, and this is all my fault. You can reach me directly at www.myspace.com/MikeSheaAP. That's SHEA like the stadium, AP.